You've probably heard this one, right? I think, therefore I am. It's got to be one of the most famous lines in all of philosophy. But what's the big deal? Where did it even come from? Well, today we're going to dive into the wild journey of doubt that led one philosopher to the single, solid truth. All right, let's just jump right in. I want you to start where the philosopher René Descartes started, with a pretty terrifying thought. Seriously, what if everything you believe is just a lie? What if everything you see, everything you hear, your whole reality is just one big elaborate trick? Now, Descartes didn't just casually think about this. No, he decided to push this idea to its absolute breaking point. He came up with this thought experiment. He imagined there was some kind of powerful, evil genius, some cosmic prankster maybe, whose only job, his entire goal, was to fool him about everything. And look, we're not talking about just being a little skeptical here. This is what you'd call radical doubt. I mean, if this evil genius is real, then everything is on the table. Your eyes, your ears, they could be lying to you. That body you think you're in, poof, might not even be there. Even something as solid as 2 + 2 = 4, what if that's just a lie that genius planted in your head? So just like that, he's left with, well, absolutely nothing. Not a single thing he can trust. So you can imagine him just floating in this huge ocean of doubt, right? But he wasn't just trying to survive. He was on a mission. He was looking for one single, solid piece of ground, one truth. Just one thing that was so undeniably true that even this all-powerful evil genius couldn't possibly fake it. And to get a picture of what he was doing, he actually thought about the old mathematician Archimedes. You know the guy who said, "Give me a place to stand and I'll move the earth"? Well, that's exactly what Descartes was after. He just needed one tiny, unshakable philosophical point. And from there, he figured he could rebuild everything. All of knowledge. And then, it happens. Right there, in the middle of all this uncertainty, he finds it. The big breakthrough. The one thing, the only thing, that the evil genius simply cannot fake. And you know what? The insight is so simple, it's brilliant. Just think about it for a second. For this evil genius to be tricking you, well, there has to be a you for him to trick in the first place, right? The very act of being deceived, the very fact that you are doubting, proves that there's a doubter. You can't be fooled if you don't exist. And this amazing little argument, this gets a pretty famous name. It's called the Cogito. It comes from the Latin phrase cogito ergo sum. This right here, is the first solid piece of ground. It's that Archimedean point he was so desperate to find. Okay, but here's a really interesting little detail. That super famous phrase, "I think, therefore I am," isn't exactly how he words it in his big work, the Meditations. And the difference is important. See, for Descartes, it's not really a logical step-by-step argument like A + B = C. It's something much more direct, more instant. He calls it an intuition. And we got to be careful here, because when he says intuition, he doesn't mean like a hunch or a gut feeling. For a philosopher like Descartes, an intuition is like, bam, a direct, immediate mental download of a truth. The second the thought, "I exist," pops into your head, the thought itself proves it's true. You don't have to reason it out. You just get it. You see it right then and there. All right, so big step, right? Descartes knows that he exists. Awesome. But that just opens up a whole new can of worms. What is he? What is this I that he's just proven exists? I mean, he can't say it's a body with arms and legs because, remember, the evil genius could be faking all of that. The only thing he can say for sure, the only thing he knows with 100% certainty is that he is a thing that thinks. And he gives this a fancy Latin name, of course, res cogitans. It just means a thinking thing. And that's it. That's the core of you, a mind. A substance whose entire job, its whole essence, is just to think. And it's really, really important to get what he means by thinking. It's not just doing math problems in your head. It's this whole huge category of mental stuff. It's doubting, understanding, affirming or denying things. It's wanting something or refusing it, even imagining. And get this, even feeling. All of those activities count as thinking, and every single one of them is proof that you, a thinking thing, exist. So, to really drive home this point that your mind is the most reliable thing you've got, way more than your senses, Descartes comes up with this brilliant little thought experiment. All it involves is a simple piece of wax. Let's walk through it. Okay, so picture a piece of beeswax, fresh from the honeycomb. You can smell it, right? You can feel that it's hard and cool. You see its shape and color. Now, let's bring it close to a fire. What happens? Every single one of those things you just sensed, they all change. It melts. It becomes a hot, shapeless puddle. The smell is gone, the color is different. And yet, you still know it's the same wax. But wait, how? Your senses are screaming at you that this is something totally new. Descartes' answer? It's not your senses that know it's the same wax. It's your mind. Your intellect is the thing that understands the true essence of the wax, underneath all those changing properties.
And this leads to a pretty wild conclusion. If you only truly know the wax through your mind and not through your senses, then that means you know your own mind even better and more directly than you know the wax. I mean, think about it. Every time you perceive the wax, you're also aware of your own mind doing the perceiving. So the big takeaway is that your own reason, your mind, is a much better guide to what's true than your flimsy senses are.
So, where does that leave us? Let's recap. We've basically followed Descartes on this crazy journey, right? Starting from a place of total, complete doubt about everything and ending up with one single solid rock of certainty, the fact that you exist as a thinking thing. But, and this is a huge but, we have to remember what this argument doesn't prove. The Cogito is powerful, for sure, but it's also super narrow. At this point in his journey, the only thing you know for certain is that you exist as a mind. Your body still could be an illusion. The world around you, your friends, even the screen you're looking at right now, technically all of that is still up for grabs. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on, a really big one. Descartes proved that he exists, but has he really figured out who he is? The Cogito just gives you the bare bones fact of your existence as a thinking mind. But what about, you, your personality, your memories, your dreams? Is just knowing that you are the same thing as knowing who you are? Now that's something to think about.